What's going on, people? Today is another one of those days where I get my game critiqued by a strong professional poker player. Spencer James is one of our instructors. He is the author of the series Fold Equity Radar and now True EV Pillars on the Carrot Corner subscription service. We are still giving away subscriptions, by the way, for a few more days only, just till the end of July, with purchases of our premium courses. Check it out at Carrot Corner, top link in the description for the last few days of the July sale. Let's get to it. Today we're going to look at some bluffs I made. The first hand we're going to look at today is absolutely insane. You're either going to love it or you hate it. I'm sure I'm going to hear from you guys in the comment section, so let me know if you think I've completely lost my mind. Let me know if you're on board with it. Be intrigued to hear your opinion. Now let's get started. Let's watch me get my bluffs analysed by one of our coaches. Let's go. All right, ladies and gents, we are back for some Pete Gets His Bluff reviewed type of content today. Put myself in the spotlight here, and Carrot Corner coach, subscription service video maker, Spencer James is here with me. And Spencer, your job today is to say what you think about all of my punts. You have to say that some of them are good, otherwise we lose face on our own channel, and that's not great. But you certainly don't have to say that all of them are good. I'm sure some won't be. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good. Can you get into some hands?
Yeah, cool. Before we do, I just want to tell everyone that you are the author of two Carrot Corner series now, one which is live called Fold Equity Radar, and a new one which goes by the name of
True EV Pillars.
True EV Pillars. Yeah, so when you say pillars, I'm imagining like some ancient Greek structure with like columns, like white stone columns and stuff like that, with like True EV on top of it. What is True EV Pillars about, real quick? And then I want to circle back to Fold Equity Radar.
Okay, so True EV Pillars is my new series where I'm trying to handpick some cornerstone skills that players like yourself and Alex are really relying upon to come up with the best play on the table across the game tree.
Yeah, so it could be like types of thought process that come naturally or innate to stronger players, you could say, but need explicit breakdowns for all of the fish watching this channel and subscribing. I mean, all of the aspiring players watching this channel and paying for subscriptions. It's only $49.99, by the way, guys, to subscribe to Carrot Corner. We have almost 60 videos on there by the time you're watching this, I believe. Your first series, which is out as we record this, is called Fold Equity Radar. And that's kind of what we're doing today. Today, I'd like you to take your Fold Equity Radar and apply it to my hands. And this first one is possibly a huge punt or a stroke of creative genius. It's one of the two. It's a very polarizing hand, opinion-wise. Some of the basement-dwelling, hate-filled, better trolls in the comments section are going to hate it. And some of them are going to like it, but say they hate it because they're so hate-filled. And then some people may love this. And I'm really thrilled to hear... I'm really intrigued, rather, to hear what you think about this, Spencer. So let's pick up the action here with the pocket nines and the hijack. We're going to go ahead and open this up. I played this on Saturday while I was sort of chilling in the evening. Thought I'd play a few hands, record a bit of footage, see what came up. And we got tiny 3-bet here by the small blind, telling us that this is a weaker player, so we made the call. The flop came ace 5-4 rainbow. Villain goes small. What are you doing?
Yep. Yeah, I think it's probably small enough and we are deep enough versus a rec that we want to peel. Some good things can happen. Turning that 9 is pretty cool at this stack depth. I think that we will realize enough equity. So yeah, I'm coming along for a turn card.
Yep. Okay. We make the call. The turn is the ace of diamonds. Villain checks.
We would go either way. It's between very small bet and check. I think it's borderline polarization area to start betting anything bigger than third pot, but yeah, I'd probably take the card off, to be honest, but I wouldn't hate a small bet.
Interesting. Well, we're about to have our first potential dispute, depending on how much I want to defend what I did here or not. Okay,
right.
So yeah, the default line is definitely to check back or to bet small for mostly denial reasons, right? Maybe like thin value, you could say. But I think we're mostly a dog when called, even if we bet small. I should give you some pretext here. This player was like tight looking reg fish type player, Right, so not like a
Okay.
wild fish, just a kind of recreational tight or recreational slash semi-reg or something like that.
Right.
Um, would you agree that's the default line when you say that? You're kind of like, you're not bluffing when you bet small, you're just kind of denying equity. And when you check, you're just kind of realizing showdown value. Am I understanding you
Yeah.
correctly?
Yeah. Answers. Yeah. That my borderline polarization error quote. Like if we get called here, it's very rare we're running into king queen. So
Right.
taking a
So,
card off is quite appealing.
right. Okay. So if we bet, it's borderline polarization error because we are getting called by most of the better hands in villain's range. We're not really getting much fold equity from better hands yet, ladies and
You're
gentlemen.
right.
Yet. So I went on a
I
little
see where you're going with
adventure
this.
here, Spencer, and I didn't bet 1/3,
Right.
and I didn't bet half pot, and I didn't bet 2/3 pot, and I didn't check editor countdown
Yeah.
from 3. I chose to pot it, and my intention here was fully to spew on the next street as well. And do you want to have a go at what my reasoning is here? Do you want to try and predict it? Or do you want to just say this is trash right out off the gate? Because you're welcome to. No hard feelings.
No, I see what you're doing here, and I don't hate it. My initial impression as to why I wouldn't think about this as a line is because my initial fold equity radar will tell me that we are struggling to get folds from better hands right here and now. But
Mm-hmm.
you are seeing this hand going down a different path than I, where you are expecting this node to be over defended, and then we're going to make up for that with a large overfold on the river, which it could be true if this check is true, really underprotected, dents in tens through kings and those give ups, then this could be the line. But
Mm.
it's not one that I would come to in game, that's for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't usually come to this in game, but sometimes I enter a fuck you mode when I'm playing poker. And that mode is kind of like, oh, so you're like a little timid reg, are you? You want to like net roll and like GG cash dollars and Daniel Negreanu cash race, bad beat race your way, whatever. I'm just making up terms at this point. You want to denegs your way to some small profit, do you? Not having it. And I enter this mode where I'm like, what actually happens? And I think a lot of these like punt lines, these creative lines, start from a kind of very relaxed, intuitive, hungry state of mind, whereby I'm kind of like, what would happen? I entertain the hypothetical. What would happen if I go like pop all in? Like, how often will I be called there? And sometimes I even imagine I had fours and try and predict how often this player type will call me down. And then I'm like, man, if I had pocket fours, I'm like so pessimistic about this guy ever calling me when I like jam the river all in. Then I'm like, well, maybe that means I should do something other than just surrender the pot to like what I think is a really inflated, bulbous, overrepresented portion of tens through kings. I feel like those 30 combos are an infection in villains range, like some kind of bacteria on a wound, and they're just like everywhere. And it's kind of what he usually has. And I guess like I'm just not willing to surrender here. Also, like there's a I know I'm like really fighting the case for this hard now because I really want you to say that this is a good play. But we have a checklist at Carrot Corner about bluffing, and like the conditions are things like, will the player type in question be deeply uncomfortable with large parts of a capped range, right? Like that's me kind of melding a few of them together. But if you do imagine this range is mostly capped here, how uncomfortable will they be when I do this on the river? And will this then yield like significantly more than the, what does this need, like 68% fold equity, just over 2x pop, something like that. And in game, I decided that fuck it. I decided like, no, you're not going to get to showdown with all those hands, and I don't think you're going to have an ace very often. If you do, maybe you even fold ace jack here. Like maybe you don't want to play for stacks with ace jack on this node if you're net reg. I think we fall into this trap sometimes of being like, well, they won't fold an ace. And it's like, well, who won't fold an ace? A whale? Yeah, probably not. But like a net reg? Fold an ace here for like a lot of big blinds? Like maybe. I don't know. So I went for this. Punty looking line that most people wouldn't find. I wouldn't normally find it. I don't know, Spencer. The jury is you. What's your verdict? Punt or no punt?
So my initial impression is I think it's a punch. Just given how much of his range needs to fold and that pot size bet on turn, I think we can improve this line by maybe going like 75 to 80% on turn, really ensuring he arrives to this river with those aforementioned 10 through kings
Yes.
to give him a chance to overfold them. When we just go pot on turn, maybe some of those shed. So then the ace-X becomes a larger portion of his range, which is obviously far less likely to fold than those pairs. So when he does have to fold, 75 to 70% of range, or whatever the math works out to be.
It's not that high, but it's pretty high. Yep.
Yeah. We have to ask what are those in different hands. And this is the process we go through in my series Fold Equity Radar. And I imagine that we would start creeping into ace-X combos with this river landing range. Whenever we do have to make someone fold trips, I'm a little skeptical, even if they are a weaker reg. And they certainly might fold some aces, but I think they have to fold some aces for this to be profitable.
So yeah. I'm not quite ready to wave the white flag yet, but I am ready to accept the criticism that with this plan in mind, a smaller turn sizing like B66 is just clearly better. I agree. This is like turn play is now in danger of filtering villain too much, and we're in danger of doing that whole mistake where we push their range into like too small a pen too soon, and then like there aren't enough bad hands left in the pen for this to work well against. There's just like, I don't know, ace 10, ace jack, stuff like that. Now, in my defense, I will argue that I think ace queen and ace king are pretty unlikely to check the turn, like relative to other aces, although combinatorically they are a lot of combos, and that's a bit of a worry. I will also say that I think boats are very unlikely here. I don't think these people have ace 5, ace 4 enough and play it this way very often. And I will also say that this sort of net reg, when they're deeper, GG's full of these players, right? GG 100 Russian Cash is full of these players, is quite likely to fold like ace jack or something here, I would say. I think it's easy to underestimate how inclined they are to fold, because we are repping at boats here, right? We're saying we have 4s, 5s, ace 4, ace 5, ace 10.
Gotcha.
That's kind of our value region. So can this line be improved? Yeah. Do I think it's better to check the turn and not embark on this adventure? I'm going to go with no. I still like the adventure, but I think we can refine the adventure. That's kind of where I'm landing on it. What's your any final remarks from you?
I just think that we do have a fruitful way to get to the river by checking back turn with 9s and just winning versus all the trash that he gives up. When we're embarking on this line and we're arguing about it, we're saying it's close, so it needs to be
I don't think it's close.
Fruitful.
I think it's way better than not going on the adventure, personally.
Okay.
But I see what you're saying. We have showdown value. We have a lot of positive EV by checking. I'll say two things. One, I think this range is just way more capped than it should be when it checks turn, and I think it's a bit of a green light to me, like my fold equity radar's kind of pricking up at that point. And two, we actually do gain useful fold equity on turn, because like when villain folds king jack, king queen, etc., they're folding hands that will always win the pot against us if they hit the river, right? Because we're not going to be betting 9s on a king or queen river when they've hit and getting them off that. So there is some relevant protection. I just think this is a spot where if a student showed it to me and I was just like lazily giving a verdict, I'd be like, spew, why did you do that? Polarization mistake, terrible punt. But sometimes like in game, I don't know, I just get a feeling that like villains folding a disproportionately high amount of their range, and there may be other factors here that go into it, like turn check timing, right? So if, for example, in game, I don't remember now, but if this turn check was very fast, it's like uber green light for this line, and now I'm confident it's way better, right? So things like that can go into this place and time feel.
Absolutely.
This isn't a punt or no punt episode, so I'm not going to make you say punt or no punt, because I think that's too binary, but I do accept that like the way I went about this was a bit punty compared to like how I could have optimized it. But hey, when you're on an adventure like this, you're kind of like your heart's racing, you're like, let's go, and you put the blinkers on and you lose sight of like these optimizations sometimes. So guys, let us know what you think about this hand. This hand is a bit wild. I'll show you the result now. Editor countdown from 5. Did this get through? It did get through. And this opponent was very, very happy with his fold. He was very, very proud. So proud, in fact, that he waved the pocket kings in our face, and we, in response, flipped over not one, but both of the nines. Let's go!
baller. Love it.
I wonder how he felt when we tabled the nines here. It was like, look what I just did to you. Look what I
Because he's
did.
basically showing you, being like, you never have a bluff here.
Yeah.
Look what I just folded. And you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
motherfucker, 2 nines.
Not only do I not have a bluff, but I have a plus EV check down hand that I think is so good to bluff against you that I've converted it into like a maniac spew bluff. I don't know. Some people are going to hate it, some people are going to like it. I wanted to show you that one. I'm afraid the next hands we look at are going to be a little bit more mundane. Because these are just hands from one session, right? So, ace-10 of clubs. I was in a very adventurous, punty Saturday night mood, by the way. Couple of beers, not going to lie, Spencer. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to say that this was a very professional, engaged session. This was a few Peronis, you know, sort of thing. Just waiting for my wife to get back.
Saying, how do we turn this into a bluff?
How do we possibly commit such an egregious polarization mistake as to bluff with this hand?
Yeah.
Well, not yet. We get donked into here. We
Okay.
open UTG and some like fishy guy that didn't look like a maniac, you know, like the tight fish guy, donked here. I know it's not good. It's not good, right? But sometimes they're going to do this. So we call. They do this. Call.
That'd be the Jack of Spades. Yeah.
Jack of Hearts. Just over half pot. Have it! 32.32 big blinds. Again, I worry about my sizing choices when I'm in this mood. This feels like a bit too big, maybe? A bit unnecessary. What do you think?
So this is interesting in terms of true EV pillars. The second episode is all about our sizing protocol, where I outline a bunch of boxes where people are likely to interpret sizes in the same manner. And you'll be familiar with this line of thought because it basically comes from you. But yeah, I think that we probably crossed a barrier that we didn't need to, but not too far from it. You know, this would be entering into a very large territory, which will be interpreted from probably, I don't know, 26 to 40 would be in that category. So we're somewhat in the middle of that. What I poise in the series is that when we're bluffing, we should be on the lower end of that spectrum, and when we're value betting, be on the higher end of that spectrum.
Yep.
So yeah, I'd say this is slightly too large, but nothing absurd.
Yep. Especially when villain has a clear division like they do here between many two-pair combos and many one-pair combos. Like, we don't expect to see straights here. We don't expect to see three of a kind here, guys. That's the technical name for it. We don't expect to see that hand. We expect to see myriad stuff from like ace jack to king x to two pair. And I think your point is a very good one, that if we do this, then villain's very unlikely to fold two pair. But if we go smaller, they're still very likely to fold king x, jack x, the stuff we're trying to get the fold from. At what point would you say we're crossing into a sizing that's efficient to get two pair to fold? And would you say there's a sizing like that? Like, if I did go to 48 here, do you think that that's worth it? Or are you just saying, well, it's a recreational player that donked twice, it's just spew at that point?
I'm not trying to get this type of player to fold two pair. If I have ace queen here, I'm probably going upwards of 45 to get that call. So that implies to me that bluffing for that size isn't going to be a good idea.
Yep, I do the same thing with ace queen here. So the reason I like this spot as a bluff is just that, well, okay, one criticism is maybe we can just call and like do well enough, like barely, but I think it's very close to break even now at best. And then I would say when the board deteriorates for their range, gets worse for their range and scarier, and they sort of downsize and a bet size. I know he's size small throughout this hand, but yeah, bet size equals hand strength mostly. I think that these are good spots to just raise river generally. I think there's like a lot of mass data playbooks like this in stables and stuff where raising river in certain situations like this is just recommended as a global exploit. So I like the idea here. I don't like where I placed it in the band of sizing, as you say. And I think this might be a theme, Spencer, that can improve my game when I'm bluffing by just getting the right spot in that true EV pillar that you mentioned there. We will be releasing that series on Carrot Corner really soon. I'm really looking forward to it. I love that you've taken the true EV series and you've like taken something out of it as like a key point, like a method of like how to actually estimate true EV. I love it. I think I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so I think this range is it's mostly King X, right?
Yep.
And whenever I'm considering bluffing, if I think a size is, or I think a range is very deep polar, not finding enough bluffs, I'm very rarely turning hands into a bluff. But I think in this specific situation, where it's, as you said, that board has degraded that hand class, it's very likely he has that, and it's going to be hard to envision a lot of bluffs in our range. It can be an exception to go after what is likely a very capped range. So yeah, don't hate it, but yeah, as we said, the size could probably creep down and achieve some levels of fold equity.
Yep. I also think it's a player type thing. Like if the guy is of the maniac fist variety, this probably just doesn't do very well. And if they're of the tighter fist variety or semi-net reg guy, like it does really, really well. So it just depends. Yep. Most people are semi-net reg types if I don't say otherwise on GG, because it's just the most common archetype in this game. Okay, editor from 3. Didn't get through. Villain River 2 pair though, so what can you do? Not really the type of hand you're trying to make fold. Overpaid against the other stuff. Point stance. Nice analysis, Spencer. Thank you. Alright, King 9 of spades. We are going to make a thin 3-bet against a fish and isolate. We get called. We're going to make a small multi-purpose c-bet here. I think one of the reasons for this is just like the king and 9 runouts are so great that we like the fact that we've built pot, and we're obviously protecting against like the queen jacks and stuff like that of the world. Queen 10, king 10 combos.
Did you entertain check on flop?
I don't mind it, but I just think with the 9 being a bit more vulnerable and not, I think if I had kings, I'm probably checking against a fish here, but with the 9, I felt like bets maybe slightly outperforming. But yeah, I guess it's on my radar.
Okay.
And we decide to bluff the turn here with king 9. Decide to convert the 9. We're taking that showdown value, Spencer, and we're saying, I know we're beating 9s, I know we're beating 8s, I know we're beating 7s, I know we're beating 4 or 5 suited. I know we have showdown value, but we're kind of saying, I don't care. By the way, this will be the net reg type if I'm doing this, not the whale or anything like that. I would not bet this hand against the whale. So this will be the more net reg type of fish. When I say fish here, I know that like some people will not understand what I mean because they think of a fish as a whale. I just mean like a kind of not very good reg that's way too tight when I say that sometimes. So just to be clear. So we've converted. We've converted it. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I like it. This is one of the spots I highlight in Fold Equity Radar to be overfolded whenever we get to a situation where we think our opponent has peeled the earlier streak too wide. It's always going to be a good idea to put on pressure on, especially on threatening cards. Like he's supposed to pure fold 8s through 7s. I know we're in front of that hand, but even a hand like pocket 10s would be really close to indifferent, probably folding a lot in this configuration. And I think that they will pure peel that. Yep. So when you add those direct targets, I'm certainly a fan of it.
Yep. And the 5-out redraw is not inconsequential. That's going to help.
Yep.
Jack 10 gets there. That's kind of our hand. We have that. Yep. Not that that's a sufficient reason to just bluff a fish, but
right.
We decide.
Having the 9 is pretty cool in this situation.
We decide to overbet. Again, we can debate. Well, first off, do you like bluffing? And secondly, let's debate where in the band, how to use that true EV pillar of sizing here.
Yep. So I think you've blundered in that area, but I do like bluffing, specifically.
It's a real pattern going on here, right? Real pattern. Yeah, I've definitely blundered here. Because
yeah, 110% pot in this size almost certainly get the same fold equity.
And we say blundered because like a 15 big blind like waste is pretty damn relevant, right? Like if villain has ace queen here for whatever reason, I do think this spot's immensely overfolded. Like I'm very optimistic about fold equity here, but like if we can just bet 61 big blinds, what the hell are we doing with those 14 extra big blinds, right? Like unless there's a dynamic, a read. Sometimes I get paranoid that they watch the content and I'm like, I don't want to go 61 because they might have heard us talk about that sweet spot for bluffing and blah, blah, blah. It's probably nonsense, right? But occasionally I get these demons, man. They cross my mind. What can I say?
That's interesting. With me producing this series, I'll without a doubt come across players that I play against regularly, and I'll have that level of paranoia now. I'm like, has he seen it?
It's like it's
Does he know?
that famous Spencer James guy who's like basically
Yeah,
Galfond at this point, having put out that series.
exactly. Get over yourself.
Like I couldn't even tell you what Galfond's exploits are in this spot. So like, yeah, this is the thing, right? We feel like everybody watches us. It's all about us. But as Easty, my good friend Easty, was saying yesterday when we were recording for his channel, he was like, no one fucking cares about you, Pete. They only care about the content. Be a whore to the content or something like that. Were his words. So, you know, fair enough. I got through, which is nice. But yeah, I think we're being a bit too barbaric with our sizing. We're kind of just like, rah, 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 want to bluff, boom, and we're not thinking enough about how to optimize. So that's definitely the leak that's going on.
Yeah, it's very easy to do, to sit there and click buttons rather than enter this sizing protocol after we've made our decision. The decision to being let's bluff. The sizing protocol, given that we're going through it in every single hand that we play, will really add up. So I think we need to make a note of that.
Absolutely. Like that could be the difference in it. Like this is a game, by the way, that according to data, very, very few people are beating pre-rake back because the bad beat jackpot rake is substantial. The normal rake is substantial. Most people are relying on rake back and bonuses in this modern climate to win in this game, right? That's what the profitable players in this pool are by and large doing. And in order to be one of the very, very few that has an organic win rate, meaning pre-rake back and bonuses, not relying on BBJs, you're going to need to really dial it into an accurate extent when you're bluffing, when you're value betting, you're sizing. It's so easy to neglect it because the stress of deciding whether to bluff, the stress and fatigue of that decision and of that deliberation is so substantial that you can feel like it's job done and you're now drained, and then asking that further question of like, but how do I optimize sizing? It's not attractive to do in game, right? It feels like a lot of work. It's a lot of willpower that takes. Queen Jack of Hearts. We open hijack, small blind calls, big blind calls, deuce, deuce, 9. Big fan of just betting these spots. They're played very straightforwardly. We have a bunch of shit that's good later. Happy to bluff later. Get called in 2 spots. Decide not to bluff this turn, given we were called in 2 spots, though I think it would still be okay. Any feelings on turn here?
I don't know, if I'm going to be completely honest. Like this fish has to realize that like ace 9 or all these 9x like sucks facing your bet, which makes me kind of hate bluffing.
I just saw the stack as well. I definitely don't want to bluff, actually. I just noticed this.
Yeah. Interesting. I have recently changed my tune on these situations from the flop. And my initial impression was that given how tight they have to play facing our bet multi-way, that we want to be careful bluffing on the flop. But I've changed that tune given now that I'm more open-minded to multi-street bluffs, sacrificing that first bet to get fold equity on later streets. Which obviously we're geared up to do here, but when we go 3-way, then yeah, I still think that given that 9x has to start folding at a high frequency, probably. I
think flop's probably a check, actually, just with the guy having 28 BBs. Like, it's just too much 7s jamming on us now and stuff like that. I think actually that's going to be a swing factor here. Without this small blind having 28 big blinds, I'm a big fan of bet, but I wonder if I maybe missed that and then only spotted it on the turn, because I might actually check flop given that data point here. It just takes away from our multi-street bluff plan against half of the opposition considerably. So, yeah.
It does just have like king 10 offsuit in range though. So it's not like his range is squarely those pocket pairs. Like there's a bunch of his range will have just missed.
Yeah, so that's already inherent in my analysis. I'm kind of already accepting that, and I'm saying bet and check are close normally against 2 full stack players, but I'd swing towards bet, and then I'm just kind of going, I'm going to swing more towards check now based on his stack size, without forgetting the fact that in my original analysis, I knew that he could have king 10 offsuit and was still folding flop a lot. I also think there'll be quite a lot of good turn delayed opportunities, like, and transparency is valuable here because the small blind will play very, very like straightforwardly for the most part here, as will big blind. And I think it might just be better to see what develops here against the 28 big blind stack and delayed c-bet if we're going to bluff certain runouts. But I think it's
very
close.
fair. So on turn, he's going to tell us if he has king 10 offsuit or pocket 7.
Right.
So why don't we take that opportunity?
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not as big of a fan of this c-bet against this stack as I would be normally. Anyway, we're kind of being a dead horse. I agree with turn check here. River is an ace. Now here, like the timings were pretty fast, I think. And I think timing's really important to me here, right? Like I think if one of them tanks here, I'm just already like pretty perturbed from betting. We went for this sizing.
So we got our sizing better than previous hands, but I still think we can improve on it.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I think like, yeah, 7 flat will do the job.
Yeah. So we're basically saying, if you just put me, I think I know where you're going with this. So if the fish just puts me on an ace and says, fish are very literal this way, just decides whether I have it or not. Well, you have ace king, mate. Yeah, you have ace king. Like, does that whole thing. Then they're probably folding to whatever, as long as it doesn't look stupidly small. And if they have an ace, X of clubs hand, or some stubborn ace from the flop, or the slow played aces that fish show up with in the spot, or a 9 that doesn't believe, they're probably calling this the same. So we can go down to 720. We're closer to the sweet spot. We're not quite at the sweet spot. Very important to hit the sweet spot against the 28 big blind stack, because that is the least elastic of opponents, Spencer, right?
But for what it's worth, I think I'll bluff this spot pure. I think that the fish will play very straightforward, even on a polarizing river where he should be checking a lot. I think a bunch of the ace X will lead out itself, and they will be petrified by the ace. And as for the overcall, I don't think he'll have a bunch of ace X as he overcalled. He's not just going to, peel the ace 10 offsuit after it's gone c-bet call.
Right.
So I think that we will have too much fold equity. But yeah, we can just slightly improve on that size.
Same general message then. We did run into the ace queen. You see what I mean? These are net regs, man. These are guys who don't want to squeeze ace queen off against a 28 big blind fish. Like these are a special breed of human, man. I'm not even kidding. Like sometimes I play this pool and I'm angry at how risk averse they are. Like I want to slap them. I'm like, hey, stop it. Stop being this way. You're not going to get anywhere in life. You don't deserve to play the game. Then I remember that, like, oh, this is like the source of EV, and we're meant to be happy about this, and we're supposed to welcome it, and you don't want to tap on the aquarium
with Queen Jack of Hearts. Otherwise, if he played his hand well, you wouldn't have.
Yeah, he milked us though. He hit the river, trap checked, and he got us to bluff. I think he should be raising here. After we bet that sizing, he should be raising for value. But anyway, not that I would ever call against these people. This is the sort of villain that Easty refers to as a stain on the game. I think there's an even worse version of that he's developed now, his lexicon. All right, ace 10 off. Let's speed this up a little bit, Spencer, try and get through these last couple of hands. Go for the open here. Hope you guys are enjoying the content. If you are, remember you can see more from Mr. Spencer James on Carrot Corner subscription service. And we're still going with this July promo where we're giving away subscriptions with purchases of premium courses for another couple of days only when this comes out, I think. It's almost over. Don't miss it. carrotcorner.com. Top link in the description. Ace 10 offsuit. Seamless plug. Villain checks. We go for the big bet. Yeah, I mean, this is the sort of board I don't like hate it, but also, do you know what? I don't hate this.
Absolutely, the size in theory versus a very condensed, middling range with lots of middling equity available. Our value range certainly wants to go this, but in reality, I think I would probably just take the inelasticity of a fish for what it's worth. And I have a shit hand, bet small.
Yeah. See, when I'm in this mood, there's a part of me that just wants to fight people, and it's just like I'm just having fun fighting people, and with that comes some sizing mistakes. So yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of going more than a third here because I do think there's some elasticity to like certain ace jack and sixes combos and stuff, but I might go like 320 and expect it to function the same as 405. But yeah, I think small's okay as well. Yep. Agreed again. We're definitely seeing where my biggest leak was in this session. It was like a kind of blindness to sizing at the time.
Yep.
We go for a turn bluff here. We have the 10 of diamonds bailout. We have the ace overcard. We have bet big on flop, which makes me not love our fold equity on turn. I think that's a very relevant data point, right? Like how big we went on flop. What do you think here? You giving up here? You checking back?
I think it's close. I think there's still like natural folds in like sixes through eights,
Yep.
some 5x, some king jack. I know we're in front of that kind of hand.
Yep.
So I'm not, hating fold equity here,
Yep.
but sure, we're up against a range that has said they like the flop, and this turn cut has improved a decent chunk of that range. So neither here nor there, I guess is the answer.
Yep, I think there's also some fold equity against like Jack 10, King Jack, King 10 that would win against us sometimes by us checking back, then betting the six of clubs or whatever and us folding. So that's a branch, you don't always get to realize with the best hand, although you will over realize against the fish small blind population. I think when it's close, when you feel like your fold equity radar, guys, is neither here nor there, as Spencer says. Just bluff the stuff that has a bit more bailout and maybe don't bluff the stuff that doesn't. That's a good way to decide. I was coaching a guy this morning, Spencer, and telling him to stop check raising absolute air out of position on the turn against big turn bets from fish. That was a good lesson. Stop doing that. Stop raising trash out of position against big turn bets from fish.
In that situation, those fish are just skewing towards the top of range. So when you're relying on them to take from the bottom of very strong hands and fold them, good luck.
And your risk reward is atrocious when you check raise a big turn bet because you're risking like 28 big blinds to win like 15 or something usually, and it's just abhorrent. Anyway, moving on. They call, the 8 of spades river comes. And we again butcher the hell out of the sizing. It's just so unnecessary. This is such an easy leak to avoid, guys. Like I don't even need your coaching in this spot, Spencer. Like I like bluffing here against the net reg type. I think it's great. I think there's a ton of scariness going on. We have a diamond blocker, but yeah.
This is a net reg or this is a spot?
It could be. It's probably not. Okay, so there's two main archetypes, right? On GG. Really nitty reg that's like barely even a reg because they're like just playing, rake back printing kind of nonsense ABC. And then there's like whale. And if this is a whale, I'm probably just never doing this. So I'd like to think this wasn't a whale, but I don't know for sure. I could have misread the player type or something, but probably not a whale.
Right. I would have just thought the net reg types would still be playing full stacks and wouldn't be calling out of the small blind as much as the whale.
It's a spectrum. So like there's reg fish net reg type that doesn't even auto top up. Then there's like the one that does auto top up because he's reached that point. And then there's like the more whalish type. So not all of the short stacks are whales. Some of them are like 21, 14 types as well. So I don't know is the answer. I don't know who villain was for sure.
Regardless, if it's the whale, I mean, I think this is horrible given how much we've condensed their range and relying on the fish to fold high absolute hand strength. Even against the net regs who have double called, we're really hoping they have queen jack, queen 10 and not, flushes or random slow played sets or two pairs, which I don't think they'll fold. So my fold equity radar kind of says that this is whatever.
Yeah, mine is that it's okay, but like certainly not for this price. Like I think if we were to bet 75% pot here, then I'm a fan. I think overbet in general, not a fan at all. Because like as you say, if they have queen 9 or a set or something, I think that's kind of unlikely the way they played flop. But if they do, yeah, it's just not folding. If they have a flush, there's some bad flushes in range here. It's just not folding. I do like the 10 of diamonds here because a lot of their bad flushes are 10 of diamonds, so it's a more relevant blocker effect. But in real life, there's just no way overbet here. I think this is a bit of a pun. I think overbet's just like bad here. I'm a fan of bluffing like B75 against the net reg type. I agree against the fish. I don't think there's a great sizing here for this spot.
Probably, levels of fold equity that we're trying to achieve. We're essentially going after top pair here. So let's choose a size that effectively gets the job done for top pair and not have to creep into stronger hands. So when we go this size, all the top pair will be folding, and he would even have to creep into a hand like queen 9 potentially. Fold.
It's a great way of thinking about it. Yeah. So you're kind of saying, in theory, this sizing would need to elicit folds from X to be good. X isn't folding, therefore the sizing is bad. It's a very good argument. It did get through.
That's the
So obviously
that's the
we're
ethos of sorry, that's the ethos of Fold Equity Radar. That line of thought.
Yep, love line of thought, love the series. Obviously, everything you just said was wrong though because it worked, and therefore I'm a genius. So shut up, and you guys shut up as well, and let's do one more hand. King Nine of Spades.
We already
We
saw
have
this, mate.
nah, mate. We've not. No, we've not seen it. Yeah, so we go for this, and now we decide to turn our hand into bluff. What do you think about this? Just kidding.
I imagine this will be edited out.
No, we don't edit out these moments of off the cuff comedy gold. Although I do want to reply to someone in the comments a few weeks ago that said, "Stop your lame attempts at comedy. You're not funny. Just stick to what you're good at, which is analyzing poker." And to him, I say, "Shut the hell up, you moron." Now let's get back to the analysis. King 10.
And couldn't be less true.
Thank you. Not everyone gets me though, Spencer. A lot of people think I'm not funny, or they don't even know I'm joking, and they just look at me like I'm a psychopath. I get that a lot as well. Anyway,
I can imagine where they're from.
so we are just going for give up here, basically three-way.
Okay.
We then go for some form of turn bet, which I think I could size down on this texture, honestly.
Okay.
Like, I don't get this sizing. My sizing is an absolute shit show in this session. Like, let's just accept it. It's an absolute joke. It's just not great. And now I hope I just bet something smallish here as a bluff. I hope I don't do anything silly. It's a bit big, but it's not horrendous. I think we can go 850, 925. Again, it's just the same thing, right? It's like turning the screw a bit more and just saying, like, what's the sweet spot here?
Could even be block. Like
Block's good,
block. Just folding out the pairs, high levels of inelasticity on such a run out.
100%. Yep, block is good actually.
Yeah, I don't hate this. No, maybe I do.
Yeah, I think I hate it.
I do. Yeah, I think block's the play.
Block's the play. They have very little straight as played. They have very little set. They have very little two pair. So they're literally hyperpolar here to flush or pair. Why the hell are we not blocking? So in this session, I just didn't think about sizing. I was just like, do I bluff or don't I bluff? And that was like my whole thing I was thinking about for the day. I was like, how do I exploit the net regs the most? And I just didn't think enough about sizing. And that's where all the mistakes are. In this session, we got called by potatoes with the potato of diamonds. And that's normal. And why the hell have we wasted all this money? So if you add up all the money that we've wasted, I don't think we've made any like horrible bluffs per se. Like the choice of whether to bluff, I don't think any of them are horrible. We may disagree on a couple of those, but like I agree with you 100% that like the sizing choices were the costly factor. So yeah, let's leave it there. Give us a little plug. Who are you coaching wise? What you up to coaching wise? How can people get in touch if they want to hire you?
Yeah, starting to work with you guys at Carrot Corner. You've been my long-term coach, so many of my ways of coaching or philosophies will be fed down from you. So you can be assured you're in decent hands. You can find me over on Discord. My name, I believe, is s.james. If you're in the Carrot Corner Discord, you'll be able to find me through there. I'm offering private coaching, so hit me up if you guys are interested. Hopefully we can get those win rates going north.
Yeah, Discord is a gated community, guys. So to get in, all you gotta do is subscribe to Carrot Corner and watch our content there. We've got loads of videos, as I said, or pick up a Carrot Poker School course or private coaching with me. You'll get in, and we hope to see loads of you in that Discord group. And we'll be back with more content soon. Hope you've learned from my failures of sizing today, but I hope you've also learned from this raging beast mode where we just want to destroy the net regs, because I think it's a valuable thing. We just have to temper it with the right sizing. We'll leave you with that thought. Thank you so much, Spencer. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you guys soon.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Bye-bye.